In today's episode of First Use, I'm going to go through the new ruck rule for 2026, and I'm just going to focus on the centre bounce. I know there's a new rule about the nomination around the ground, all that sort of stuff, and then the last touch out of the boundary line, all that sort of stuff. But in today's video, I'm just going to focus on the centre bounce, and I'm just going to look at the actual rule change, so how that's come into effect, what's an actual free kick. Then I'm going to look at just some styles. I'm going to give you a bit of a 101 on, whether you're a big size ruck like a Sherry or a Briggs, or you're athletic type ruck like a De Koning or a Luke Jackson. I'm going to give you a little bit of a snapshot on how you should set up your angles at centre bounces and what you should be focusing on this preseason. Then I'm going to give you, he's the best ruck I've ever seen in my time, but Max Gawn, just what he does in the centre bounce, whether it's jumping, whether it's going through, and I'll give you a little bit of a point and how he actually does the centre bounce sort of stuff, which is really, really impressive. And a little bit of what I reckon we will see in 2026 with this new ruck rule, where both rucks they can't come across the line, they've got to stand and jump. It's all about angles, all about timing, all about where your knee is, how your knee is going through the opposition ruck. There's a lot of that sort of stuff I'll cover in the video today. So let's get into the footage now, and I'll give you a bit of a snapshot and what you should see in 2026. Okay, the AFL brought out the rule a couple of months ago in relation to what is deemed a free kick, what they're trying to get out of the game. So I'll just play you through the video. So this is an example. So this is Sherry here against De Koning during 2025. And you can see so that the guide is obviously the middle line of the centre bounce. So what basically, and I'll run you through. So he's come across, he's taken out the opportunity for De Koning to jump and run at the ball because he's just standing in a flat, and he's taken out basically his leap. So the next this slide here, you'll see what. Now, that's the definition. So Sherry's come across the line as soon as the ball's bounced. So this would be deemed a free kick. This would be deemed a free kick in 2026. So basically what the AFL is trying to get is that when the ball is thrown up, so obviously not a bounce anymore, so when the ball is thrown up, both the ruck, so Carlton's going right of screen, obviously they're in, De Koning's in this half, and North's going left of screen, and Sherry's got to stay in that half. So when the ball goes, then it's game on. So got to jump into each other. Okay, so this is another example. So there's the line there. De Koning's come across to take Charles' run up to the ball. So he's come across the line really early. So this would be deemed a free kick. So he comes across, and as they state here, it would be deemed a free kick because he's come across the line too early. He's not stayed in his half of the circle to be able to jump. So if you saw X tweet, I still call it Twitter, the post I did a couple of months ago when they announced it, I was really excited about this. I guess I'm being biased in some aspect because that was one of the strengths, or one of the things I really loved in the centre bounce, was setting up how you actually palm it to your mid. So whether you push it forward, whether you flick it back, on the side, both left and right. Nick Natanui is probably and De Koning does it as well, but he's been restricted because of these rucks coming across the line. I'll get into that, but what I want to show you is just a clip from both Briggs and Sherry when they went against each other. I think it was round 21, round 22. It was really late in the year, but I'll just give you an example of why the AFL is trying to stamp this out and why they've gone back to the traditional way of how rucks jump into each other. So let's have a look at that now. So this is the first centre bounce. I think it was round 22, 23. They played really, really late. And you can see Sherry is right on the line there. So basically going to come across straight away. And Briggs is the same. But what I want you to focus on, and this is what I'll make very clear for you, why this is going to be so exciting to watch from a spectator's point of view, and how the clubs are going to have to adapt to where you can actually push and actually palm, but also the flexibility you'll have with different rucks that you have. But the reason why the mids are set up in this situation, it's like basically a triangle format like that. The reason why is because both rucks, when they come together, they're both facing this way. So a dead zone is actually behind the rucks. That's a dead zone. So what has eventually, what's crept into the game, and this is what the AFL's, and I credit to the AFL, we're getting rid of this. Traditionally, when both rucks would face each other, and I'll explain this in videos after this, you have so many different areas to hit. Whereas when you come into this sort of format and you watch when they end up hitting each other, both rucks, one of the key things I've said with rucks and mids, so when you're a midfielder, you've got to watch the chest of the ruck, right? So both rucks' chests end up facing this way. So there's no point being behind the rucks because it's actually a very hard hit. Unless you're dominating, you can flick it over the back, do what you want with it. But traditionally, and this is the same with stop plays around the ground, you've got to go in line with the chest of the ruck because at the end of the day, they're fighting for the best position. Whether they're in front or whether they're behind, the ball is going to be pushed to the front, right? So it's going to be pushed to their chest. So that's why these mids are set up in this area. Because of that. But when you look at that, it's just it's like a stop play. It's nothing inviting, nothing exciting. As we've seen with Simon Madden, with the players that have come through for decades when they've been able to get the bit of a run up, hit it out into space. And I'll show you some clips of Nick Natanui, and then you'll look and go, wow, yeah, this is what's coming back in 2026, which I'm really excited about, and the fans will be too. But look at this. So they wrestle and they just hit it forward into that. And look at the congestion. Yes, you get that it stop plays, but the biggest advantage you can take out of the centre bounce is the fact that you're 4-on-4. When you have a stop play around the ground, the half forwards come up, the half backs come up because they're manning on their half forwards, becomes really congested, and it's a bit of a hit out of the circle or hit really close, depending on where you are on the ground. This new addition for 2026 is going to really revolutionise, I think, the centre bounce. And because the way we're set up, 6-6-6, obviously different for the females, we're 5-4-5, however you want to put it. But the structure allows the clubs to do their homework and getting the dominance out of the centre bounce and where you want to hit it. So I'll get into what I'll do now is I'll show you some clips from Nick Natanui and you'll look at it and go, wow. So this is big Nick Nat in his prime, and I love this setup. So when we look at that clip from Briggs and Sherry, the hit zone's here. So it's really not giving yourself any other option. So in this situation where Brisbane's going right of screen, they can hit it here, right-handed ruck, they could hit it here, or they could hit it in a forward area. So when you go with Nick Natanui can hit it here, he can hit it here, but in this, he hits it forward to Shuey. And this is a great hit. I love this. Look at this. Look at that. Bang. Over the top. And away they go inside forward 50. That's what's coming back in 2026 and super excited about. And don't disregard the big fellas, the Meeks and the Sherrys. They can still jump. And it's about body position. I'll show you how they can be able to maximize the centre bounce. But what it does from a structure point of view, for any of the clubs is where they can actually hit. They're facing their goals. They can be exciting. They can get it out of the centre bounce. This is another one. I think same game, but look at this play here. So Nick Natanui used to love it. Hit it forward. So he'd hit it in this area like you just saw just there. He would hit it in the 10 position, hit behind. But what about this hit is unreal. And this is what's coming. This is what's coming in 2026, which get really excited. Gets up. It's not about really, yes, he could jump, but look at that palm position. Look at that. He's flicked it over to his right-hand side. Shuey's done the block. So he's blocked his opponent that way. And the running pattern here behind, he's come out of the space that Nick Natanui's coming out of. Look at this. So what's this running pattern here? You've got a block here and you've got a block here. So really well done. This is the art of centre bounce. This is what I said in my tweet. The art is coming back. And this is what the clubs have got to focus on. Positions are where they can hit it. Be creative. Come up with these these set plays that can give him momentum going into your forward 50. And then just the last one to finish. So receiver comes from the blocker position. So as I pointed out before, there's the sweeper, there's the blocker. Sometimes that's the receiver who's just sort of darting back and forth. But these are the two pillars that you always got to have in place. But with this variety that you can have in the centre bounce, you can hit it forward. And then it comes off. There it is. Bang. Okay, so what I want to show you here is what the big fellas need to do. So in relation, if you find yourself you're not athletic, you've got to be able to use the angles. And what I mean by this is Sean Darcy's leads with his left leg, so goes that way. Max Gawn leads with his right, goes this way. Just watch how this unfolds. And this will happen a lot in 2026. And it's all about angles and it's all about your force. So it's a really underrated skill that a lot of people don't know about, but obviously rucks do. And you just watch what happens here. Because Max Gawn gets Darcy on the right angle, he's able to twist him in the air. And this is what Max Gawn practices and has for a very long time. And I've seen it firsthand at training. And I'll show you a funny clip that happened in Spring Carnival, which is to show you exactly what he does. So it's the technique is very sound and very good. But what happens in this situation? Darcy's come across, and if he was to jump, his knee is going into thin air because he leads with his left leg. But if Max Gawn is to jump, his leg is going straight into him. So it's pushing him off balance. It's actually twisting him in the air. And that's the angle you've got to get. So, for instance, if Darcy was to attack this in 2026 and Gawn was to start there, Darcy needs to start here. Why? Because then his left leg is coming straight in to Max Gawn. It's not where he actually starts in this situation. He starts here. So if he was to jump, his leg is going into thin air. Max Gawn's leg's going straight into him. And that's exactly what happens in this situation. Even though he doesn't jump, his force is still going straight into him. He's able to push him off balance, be able to get the ball, and there's a clearance. Now, this is another perfect example. So he comes in. This is what I think will happen a lot in 2026. So he stops. He tries to jump. But because he's on the wrong angle, so his left leg is going to thin air. Max Gawn's right leg is going straight into Darcy. So in the air, he pushes him off balance. You watch the force he generates. Look at that. Pushes him right off. There's the line of where the ball is. So look at Darcy. He's already doing the splits. And then away they go. So I love that. I love that force. And that's what Gawn does. And this is what other so-called non-athletic rucks need to focus on this preseason, is to actually watch how he's not trying to high jump, he's trying to jump through him. See there? And I'll show you a clip from the Spring Carnival, which is quite funny, but it's actually really cool. Look at that. Jumps through him. He's not trying to jump over him, he's trying to jump through him. So you can just see there with that force, you've got to drive your hips. It's not about a high jump. Yes, there's going to be times you're going to try and jump, get your hips up like a high jumper, try and out jump your opponent. But there is going to be times where you've got to jump through the opponent. Because you're jumping against each other, you've really got to put your force through it. So you've got to practice into the bag, lower your hips and drive through. So you're not trying to jump up, you're trying to drive through on a 45-degree angle. Let me show you the footage, which is quite funny. But the footage that went viral with Gawny during Spring Carnival. So I'll show you that, but I'll pick out a little bit of the reason why it's so effective in just doing that when he's in a suit. This went viral. It's quite funny. A lot of people posted it on social media and stuff like that. But what I want to show you here is actually what he does, which is really, really cool, which is exactly why I showed you that footage just then, why he's able to get across the line and push his opponent in midair off the line of where the ball drops. So this is a bit of fun and cheek. So he's jumped into this guy, and then he goes back. So the guy's in a bit of pain, poor bugger. But then he goes, but watch here. This is this is what it's in his DNA. So watch his hips. He's not, even though it's just tongue in cheek. I know it's fun. He's in a suit. He's had probably a big day, but watch his hips when he does this. His hips go there. They're not look at that, driving through. So once again, just watch his hips here. And I know but this is what he did against Darcy in a game. Driving through. All right, so put you off your balance in the air. And that's what other so-called non-athletic rucks need to focus on, is to hip drive through, across the line and through their opponent on angles as well. So if there's something that the non-athletic rucks or any local league or whatever, if you don't feel like you have that athletic profile, if you like, that you can jump and you can jump over your opponent, so focus on that leg drive. Get someone to hold the bag, drive through the bag. It's not about high jumping over your opponent. It's about driving through. So it takes, wear a shin guard, get your body through, try and get across the line, try and hit the bag. The other things you can use, if you use your right hand, use your left hand to protect yourself and then hit with the non. There's other different things you can do. At the end of the day, you know you're going to face off against another ruck now. You're not going to come across the line if they bring it, if AFL do what they're going to do and filter this decision all the way down to local leagues. So it's a really exciting addition, and it's going to bring back the theatre of getting it, out of the centre bounce. So I'll show you my video. I'm putting this together. I'm going to show you one of the clips that happened back in 2000 against the Eagles in round 22. All right, here we go. It's in the third quarter. We're up by a fair bit playing the Eagles over at Subiaco Oval. And this is why I love, yes, our run-up used to be a lot bigger. Look where I'm coming from there. So it'd be, the opportunity to talk about rucks, but I like to, show you what I love doing. I love doing this. But the hit zone for me in this situation was to hit over our blocker and Shane Woden, left footer, to go, just to go on the. I love to hit to the 10 o'clock area. So that's what that's how I set up my mids to be. So I think this is Leoncelli, stay back as a sweeper, but I'm just going. So if I hit it forward, we've got Guy Regani as a blocker, and then just to get up and then just hit it forward over that inner circle, and then there's the tap. Straight to Wowie. Wowie goes through. Got Ben Cousins running behind him, and then slots it from outside 50. So I had to show me in action. Can't do a video without showing that when I'm talking about rucks. But at the end of the day, really excited about what's going to happen in 2026. Rucks are going to have to think differently now about different angles, about how they actually jump in their opponent, if they're going to jump over their opponent, if they're going to jump through their opponent, making sure they get the angles right. So it's effective with whether you lead with your right leg or lead with your left leg. So that footage I showed you with Darcy. But I love that the AFL's introduced this now, because the setup and the strategy for each of the clubs now to actually put this in place. Imagine Darcy Cameron getting on top of his opponent and pushing it out forward. Guess who's going to be onto that? Nick Natanui. So really exciting to see what unfolds in 2026. I love that they've brought this back. So let's see how it goes.